Welcome to Astoria Film Festival Presents, our weekly half-hour program featuring our films, filmmakers, events, and the local community. As part of our series on media careers, we're talking with MTV Senior Producer, Tikki Mitchell-King. Welcome, Tikki.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your current role and what you're up to these days? And then we'll go back and talk about kind of how you got there and that sort of stuff.
For sure. Currently, I'm the Senior Project Manager for the Content and Development Group within the MTV Entertainment Group. So essentially, what that means is I work with our content creators in a more intimate setting, I guess, versus the entire bubble. The MTV Entertainment Group consists of 9 brands: MTV, VH1, CMT, Comedy Central, Logo, Pop TV, the Smithsonian Channel, and TV Land. And we have the Paramount Network too. So not Paramount Movie Studios, but Paramount TV Network.
So what does your day-to-day look like on a job? Like, I know you're crazy busy. So what does that entail?
So my day-to-day is quite challenging. It takes a lot of pre-planning and just planning, and definitely organization. So I have to set out my schedule to make sure that I cover all of my roles. One of my other roles as Senior Project Manager would be a platform administrator for Array Crew. An Array Crew is a new tool from Ava DuVernay's company that helps staff production jobs for below the line positions.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that means is anyone behind the camera, the people that you see on the sets, the people operating the equipment, those are the people that don't necessarily get hired. They know, if you're in the industry, you know that there's really only 1 or 2 line producers that are of color that everyone wants to get. But with this tool, we're able to use it to find more like-minded crew members that we can staff that are diverse.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I love it. One of the other things that I do for the content and development team is I manage all of their gifting for the talent, for the channel talent, our production partners, and some of those senior leaders in that space. And that's fun because I end up being able to do almost anything. And that's, collabs with Apple, Jonathan Adler, Home Decor, just other brands like Nadam. I've just been able to create like a nice suite of brands that have actually been designed by me and the people that I've been working with. So that's been pretty awesome.
Oh my God.
And well received. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Another one of my duties, and I'll just go down the list.
Please do.
Is
it'll be an hour later. You'll be like, what
and this and that, right? But as we're on the whole gifting phase, like right now, I'm working on a really special package for the 40th anniversary of MTV, which is this year, August 1st.
Oh my God, how scary is that?
It's super scary, but to me, this is the fun part because this is more collabs. These are really specialty products. It'll be items that you could see in a store, but it won't be personalized and, just the way that we're going to do it. So that's exciting. Like, that's something I'm really looking forward to because there's a whole new, it's hard to talk about without giving out all the detail. This particular initiative that I'm doing, there's another component of my job that is really, really new, just for our organization as a whole. At the corporate level at Viacom CBS, we have the Office of Global Inclusion, which is, the folks that handle our, diversity trainings and any other kind of like employee engagement, as well as they manage the employee resource groups, otherwise known as ERGs. I say all that to say,
Mm-hmm.
In the time that we're in right now with this pandemic and social injustice and, kind of the whole world's focused on politics and, how that relates, directly back to their lives and their communities, we found the need at the MTV Entertainment Group to build an employee resource within our unit. So I am part of the equality team, which is the steering committee for what is our Action Alliance. And our Action Alliance is our employees that are baked within every department in our organization at every level, from coordinator to SVP, who come to help maybe bring other voices to the table that might not have that chance in their day-to-day roles.
Totally.
So what this does is it allows you to give commentary on maybe campaigns, on talent choices that we might make, or
Yes.
something that may have been exposed in the media as a possible issue, and how do we deal with that internally? Who might be needing some support and guidance in that way? Because
Mm-hmm.
not everybody knows to go to their manager or has that comfort level to go to HR or know what an employee assistance program is and to pick up that phone and call that 1-800 hotline. But this
Yes.
allows you to tap your colleague on the shoulder and say, hey, I have a problem with something and I need your help. So one of the things we're going to tackle that's really strong and going to branch out across our entire organization is have these employees be trained to hold and facilitate courageous conversations. And in that space,
Mm-hmm.
they'll be able to help guide a structured conversation so that people feel like they've been heard and able to take up any issues that they may have been fearful about and be able to take it up to leadership and have it addressed. And so we have the buy-in of our entire senior leadership team and our HR department, and it's just been working out really well. So
That's
it's
amazing. It's so nice to hear that the inclusion initiative is actually, you know, happening and not just
yes,
the title. Like, everybody had an inclusion officer 10 years ago and that it did nothing but have that say, oh, but we have the inclusion officer, right? But to
right.
see the actual implementation, like the nitty gritty of it is really
Mm-hmm.
wonderful to hear.
Yeah, and what's so good, what's so great, what's been so great about this too is it's not just, always like the serious nature. There was a time, I think it was like a Friday night this past summer, the VMAs were gearing up. It was VMA weekend. Everything was happening very differently. And unfortunately, it was the sad passing of Chadwick Boseman. And immediately this group started emailing each other. It was like 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern. This group of 21 people started emailing one another to say, how do we get this into the program? We need to have him, honored in the program. And these people came up with the idea, the content, and was able to turn it around in such a way, even though everything was already locked, turn it around and make a promo that featured in the music awards this past summer.
I remember that. It was beautifully done.
Yeah, so it was just so well done. And it's so, they do things like that. We've also partnered with a few external organizations, which is why what you were talking about and your interns that you have, we've been trying to do a lot more mentoring because we recognize that there are children out there who may not know about some of these other positions within media, from
Absolutely.
research, programming, scheduling, finance, and just how integral they are, to the day to day.
Yeah.
And you still get satisfied because you're, in the entertainment industry.
You're part of the creative process,
You're
even
part
if
of
you're
the
not
process.
like the director or the writer, right? Like,
Exactly.
even the kids in
Exactly.
film programs, they think they have to be Spielberg or they got to hang it up. And I'm like,
No.
no, no, like there's tons of positions for you.
Tons of positions where, you can really use your strengths and just, and still be yourself and still have an impact, and enjoy what you do. Like to me, all of that makes sense. It's like go to work hard, and be able to, take care of yourself and take care of your family at the end of the day. I love that. It's true. I think, for me, I didn't know either, It's like my mom worked 3 jobs when I was growing up. She was a single parent. She had 3 different positions, at one time, on the weekends, full-time job, then a part-time job at night, then another job on the weekends. And, we just really weren't exposed to too much that was out there. But it was like always the arts or any kind of giving back. Like that was always my vibe. So I've stayed in that lane all throughout.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like what's so cool is that this particular position that I have right now is also trying to tap into new talent that might not have the platform, or like you said, the primer, So we're currently developing, we just announced it was just announced in September, but we're currently developing a first-time directors program. So you don't have to be in the DGA. You don't have to have a credit. In fact, we really hope that you don't have a credit. But we want to take someone who has that innate talent, give them a little bit of training and tools. And with the 2 components of this program, one is going to be a direct hire. So if you're like a more seasoned filmmaker and you have some experience, but maybe not a lot of exposure, whatever it is, or you need another chance, whatever that is, we're going to put you in place, with an amazing team and have 50 movies. We're doing 50 movies, which means 50 different candidates for
Oh my God, my heart is like racing. I'm sorry.
made for TV movies. Yeah. And it'll be featured, within our portfolio. So, how awesome is that, we're taking, what normally is such a club.
Yeah.
Right. It's like
Yes.
people use the same 5 to 10 people all the time. Well, I think we're missing out, and people recognize. So now that, leadership is like really wanting to get behind this, I'm creating this program with one of my partners here. So that's super, super exciting. And we're hoping to branch that out into screenwriting. Again, first time, taking that raw, fresh talent. We just had a new hire this week, Christian Trimmer. He is going to be our new head of books for MTV, which is a position or not an arena they haven't tapped into in quite a long time. So,
like literal books. I'm like, is that a code for something? Or like what? Head of books, like booking?
No, booking meaning like young adult stories.
Oh, actual books.
Actual books. And that's what I said. I said actual books, like I get to crack the spine, and feel
in my head, I was like, oh, I'm so out of the loop. I don't even know what books means.
No, because that's what I was like, maybe this is code. I listen. So it's like we are really digging very deep into what our footprint is in the DE&I space, and not just talking about it and having like a lot of lip service, but actually now pushing it outwards. There's still so much work to be done. One of the things that our leader, our president, Chris McCarthy, has said is that he wants diversity at all levels within all of his groups, and especially within his leadership team. So having that level of commitment and making it almost mandatory for his direct reports,
yes,
to ensure that their teams are just as diverse, and then carry forward who are our vendors, who are our partners that we use in this space. Well, you know what? Let's make sure that we have some diversity there too. With this first-time directors, Nina, I tell you, went to our brand creatives, and you know how this goes. It's like, oh, can you help me find a vendor? Need a vendor to build the website because we're going to do everything, off of the website. And they send me a couple of people to look at, and and I said to them, and this is after taking them through the initial pitch, even though we're still building the program, we said this program is featured for BIPOC, women and LGBTQ plus individuals. So that means I want that same representation in everyone that touches this project.
How amazing.
So, there was a bit of a battle, but I actually found a company, female owned, multicultural, has tremendous work, but never worked in the entertainment space. So is there a little bit of, kind of support that we have to give them while they're supporting us? Yes. But is it worth it? Yes. Do I feel great about this? Absolutely. Because it just tells the story yet again. No, we didn't go with, you know, Joe's guy or Tom's guy that we normally use. We went with a whole new agency who never had an exposure to brands like this.
And that just revitalizes the brand. I mean,
Yeah.
talk about that's always what they're trying to do, but then with the same people.
And you're not going to get what you're looking for. You're going to get more of the same. I feel like a corporate activist,
Yeah. Yes.
right now. And I didn't even intend, excuse me, for this to happen. This was initially when I was making the move off of the president's desk. It was like, okay, Tikki, you have the temples that you work on, you have this gifting feature that you work on, go and do that and make it work. The one piece that we had worked out was I was going to go and look for more diverse candidates and maybe figure out if how we can, talk to more high school students, things like that. How do we start having those conversations? But then pandemic hit, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, like all these things kept happening. And but that's why I
Sorry.
said this pandemic has been a gift and a curse, because if there wasn't a pandemic and people weren't stuck to the news to see what was going on, they might not have seen these stories.
Yes.
So I have to say, for that, I've been very grateful, um, on a personal level,
Totally.
you
Absolutely.
know.
Yes.
But now that I can kind of use some of the same passion and drive within my day to day, I'm like, sweet spot, I'm living in a very sweet spot right now. One that I don't take for granted, obviously. I'm a support person at heart, always wanting to connect the dots, always wanting to make sure people have what they need to do their best and to show up as their best. And that's always been my focus. And I found a comfort spot doing that, being an executive assistant for so many years. Um, but they it seems that my leaders got tired of me, wasting my time, so to speak, in that space. And they offered me an opportunity to be more valuable. And I took that opportunity and made it to what I'm doing right now.
And I
And
think that's so important on so many levels to get across to kids is, get that foot in the door. Like, get
yeah,
that whatever position gets you in, and then show your worth, grow to understand the company, grow to understand what's needed, find the niche that you can fit best, and then it works from there, right?
it works from there. Yeah. And one thing too, and I'm trying to explain this to even my own children. And my former boss told me, he says, and he tells people all the time, do not be afraid to do the job that nobody else wants to do.
Yes.
He said, that's how you become uh,
Invaluable.
invaluable. Thank you. That's how you become invaluable to an organization or a company. It's just by showing up, being your best self, and doing maybe some of the things that are outside of your job description. And I don't mean, down to something that where, you're degrading yourself or anything like that, but just those menial tasks, maybe, or that research project. Those are the things
Mhm.
that really mean a lot to everyone. And that's actually how I got onto the First Time Directors project.
That's amazing. So it was like this, can you help out with this project? And you weren't like, well, that's not part of my job. And now it is your job.
Yeah. Yeah. They were like, oh, could you just do some research until we hire a consultant and just, just see what's happening. So I took that, did research, came up with a few decks, got a logo created and a landing page launched all
Nice.
within like a 3-month period. And they were like,
Wow.
they're like, Tikki, what are you
Wow.
doing? And I'm like, well, we put it out there. I don't want us to not look like we're not doing something. I want people to take us seriously. So
Yes.
they were like, go, you know,
Well,
go for it all, because you never know who you're going to meet and what opportunities will present themselves.
absolutely. And I think my biggest learning from life is like take the opportunity that's in front of you,
Mhm.
because if you may not get another one.
You may not get another one.
And then you make that opportunity into what you want it to be, right?
Right, right.
So
Well, that's,
sorry, I don't mean to
that,
go
no,
off. I'm so off topic.
mm-mm.
I apologize.
No, but to me, that is all on topic because that is legitimately how you said how I show up every day. That's
Yes.
why.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I felt like you always kind of had a plan, you know? I don't know if you were even aware of it,
I
but
was not aware of the plan. I was not aware of the plan. What I was aware of is I could be authentic to myself. What I was aware of that, my hard work wouldn't go unnoticed. It was appreciated.
hmm.
And, again, not taking that for granted and just doing the same thing over and over again, no
Yeah.
matter what it was for, who it was for, just always making sure it was elevated, an elevated experience.
I'm saying you could literally, I would join any class you gave on how to do that, because you're like, yeah, you were way up there in that ability. I can't even take a peek at it. That's how far up you are.
No, no, I don't think so. It's tolerance
No,
too.
I'm telling
You
you,
know what I
I'm
mean?
telling you, it's a gift, Cheek. It's a gift. You are amazing at that. Like truly.
It's, well, thank you. I mean, I try. One of the other things that I, get added on in my day is onboarding new senior leaders that have been coming in.
Hmm.
Just kind of like a culture check, a face maybe outside of their day to day or what will be their day to day. Someone who can kind of give them the lay of the land and, maybe a few tips. Um, or just someone to talk to because it is hard to come into a new company and you may just want to ask a silly question or, gut check what you think you might have heard in a previous meeting or something. So that's been really interesting. And, and I found that just taking that, 20, 30 minutes with people and showing them a little extra attention goes a long way to kind of like set them up for success and recharge them, to go in and manage whatever they've got going on.
What were your thoughts kind of coming out of college as a high school student that led you on your path that you would recommend for kids to kind of keep in mind?
Well, here's what's so interesting. Because I didn't know what I wanted to do, I never went to college.
Ooh. Oh, I love
Everything
that.
that I've learned and experienced has been on the job. And I can thankfully say, I don't think out of all of my adult years, I have been out of work for less than 2 weeks.
Wow. And I mean, that's so important because a lot of our kids just can't afford college, and
Mhm.
high school teachers don't want to hear that when I say this, like with in career days, they're like, no, but I mean, their families are just struggling to get by, and college is not going to happen. And then they're like, well, what do I do, Nina? And I'm like, you'll be fine. Like, I don't feel like college really helped me. It was great, but some of it, but it wasn't what made me successful.
Right, right. And I felt like I always, I do regret not having gone for the experience, right?
Yes.
And even the piece of paper, I've been lucky or blessed enough to learn how to manage a budget, how to, manage a project, how to build a timeline, all of these key essential things on a day-to-day. But
truly, you would have learned none of that in college.
I don't
I
see, I
mean,
was going to
what,
say,
90% of people coming out, no, more, 90,
Yeah.
I'll go with 99% of people coming out of college do not have those skills.
Yeah,
It's all
more of
just,
a social, on your own experiment.
I think it's meant to keep people out of the workforce for another 4 years, right? Wait for people to retire. It's kind of a workforce balancer, if you will.
There you go. I
And-
never
and
thought
then
of it that way. Good one.
And then it also it helps filter out, right? It makes it easier for people to hire people like them, right? Oh, I only want the people who went to college, right? So there's an easy discrimination tool, basically, is
Oh,
how
yes. Oh, yeah. And, and I've been lucky because working for all C-suite level, executives for the last 10 plus years, they didn't shy away from me at all. They just welcomed me just as much. I mean, part reputation, but and work ethic, but definitely just seeing what I was able to accomplish without.
Yeah, I mean, I think having gone to Harvard made me realize how useless college is. And I think that's, and it's kind of when I say that to people, depending on who they are, some get upset, but some people are like, what? And I'm like, no, because it's supposed to be the ultimate, right? But it was so freaking useless, Tikki. It was, and I'm lucky that we were so poor. I got mostly, scholarship. It was paid for by Harvard, but so I didn't waste 50 grand a year,
Right.
just to make connections with rich kids who only wanted to be friends with other rich kids. I mean, that's what it was. It wasn't like I didn't learn. I mean, I could have read those books on my own. It would have cost me a, library card. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for this. I can't thank you enough.
Sure. I hope
please keep in
was
touch.
Helpful.
Yeah.
The Astoria Film Festival is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We produce an annual film festival that highlights short films, feature films, web series, and podcasts from filmmakers around the world, and hold meetups and smaller screenings throughout the year to support local filmmakers. Our founder and executive director, Nina Fiore, grew up in Astoria, New York, and worked in television, digital media production for many years with MTV, PBS, Viacom, Sundance Channel, and many others. She also worked in after-school education. Nina began the festival with the hopes of uniting students interested in careers in film, television, and digital media production with local experts in the field. The majority of proceeds from our festival go into creating education workshops for local schools, after-schools, and community centers. We also run a Film Fellows program where we provide work, internships, mentorships, and training for students ages 15 to 25 with an interest in film, television,